Hi everyone, I think we're live now, and so we can start. So I'm Michael Styson. I'm co-founder and CEO of Qonversion.io. Qonversion is a platform for mobile apps with an app subscriptions. And today we are going to talk about Google App Campaigns and some best practices, some tips around Google App Campaigns. And we have an amazing guest today, Sabina Shukyurova, who is analytical lead at Google UK. And Sabina works with some of the largest mobile games in the industry and basically helping them to run their app campaigns effectively, efficiently, and leverage user acquisition with Google. Before we start, a couple of notes on this webinar, so you are automatically on mute. And if you want to ask any questions, please use the chat bar on this platform. We'll try to answer all of the questions at the end of the webinar. And we'll share the recording of the webinar in a couple of days after the webinar. So I wanted to start with just a couple of facts about Google App Campaigns, Google Ads, and how conversion can help with user acquisition through Google. So first of all, Google App Campaigns is one of the most popular user acquisition channels, and according to AppsFlyer data on Android platform, it's number one user acquisition channel. On iOS, on Apple platform, it's in the top 10. The difference, I guess there are several reasons why it's not that popular on Apple platform, and one of them is complexity of in-app data, and that's exactly where conversion is helping. So we do have this integration between Qonversion and Firebase, and this allows our clients to send accurate in-app subscription data like subscription renewals or trial conversions to Firebase server side. Even if the app is not running, we still will be able to get this data and to send it to Firebase first and to Google Analytics and ultimately to Google Ads. And here on this slide, I'm just showing the events that Qonversion tracks on the right and default events that are available in Firebase. So you do have some subscription data in Firebase, and especially for Android, it's tracked accurately there. But we have more events in Qonversion, and we provide very accurate tracking for Apple platforms. So if you're looking to get accurate subscription revenue data in your Google platform from Firebase to Google Ads, you definitely should check out our integration. And it's very simple to set up. All of the setup takes like 20 to 30 minutes. You need to install Qonversion SDK along with Firebase SDK, and then you have to go through a set of for several settings in version settings dashboard, and that's pretty much it. You can check the details using this QR code on this slide. So that's basically it from my side. I don't want to bother you with like a lot of technical details in integration stuff, and I think it will be much more interesting to listen to Sabina and to actually learn more about app campaigns and what Google own research has shown what are the most effective and interesting stuff about it. So Sabina, I'm happy to hand over the presentation to you.
Hi everyone. My name is Sabina, and as Michael said, I'm an analytical consultant. Currently, I'm working with gaming clients. Previously, I've been working with fintech clients, so I have quite an extensive experience with different types of verticals in app campaigns. And today, we'll talk about creatives in app campaigns, and in particular, video creatives. Just give me a second to share my screen with you. Okay. Yeah. So I guess you see my screen now. So why we're going to talk about creatives and video creatives in particular is because creatives actually one of the very efficient levers to influence app campaigns. If you have any knowledge of Google App Campaigns, you might know that those are quite automatic. You do not have lots of manual levers when you can influence. But at the same time, this makes room for you to go to more strategic directions and to influence your campaigns with your creatives. I must also say that this is actually the second webinar with Qonversion on creative video assets in app campaigns. And here we're going to the second part of Google research on that. And for those, I believe like many people haven't been attending the first one, we'll quickly recap what learnings and what conclusions we had from the first webinar. So just to quickly make you familiar with this research. So here we will have the summary of key learnings and patterns that were observed across nearly 10 app campaigns, both app campaigns for installs and app campaigns for engagement. And this highlights creative approaches for app campaigns that seem to be working better to make the algorithms also work better. The research has been carried out for different verticals. So here we'll see different clients like gaming, retail, consumer products, food delivery, and fintech. And the highlights from this report are also not from one particular vertical, but from across all of these verticals, and at the same time across all of the geographies. So those would include both APAC and EMEA and Americas. The disclaimer would be that the data here is not causation in the experiment, it's kind of correlation. So be aware of that. But at the same time, the data is statistically significant. So this is not what we have observed on like 2-3 clients and 2-3 users. This is statistically significant data. Okay, so without further ado, let's move into that. First, a quick recap of what we've learned in the first part of this research. Here are 4 main conclusions that will make your app ad most efficient in terms of the creatives. So first of all, make the app the ad. What does it mean? It means that in your creative, it's quite essential to show the app itself. Just show what it does so that people could have this look and feel of what the app is, not just talking about the app, but just showing. The second thing would be about visuals that could supercharge your story. This means that visuals should be capturing on the one hand, and at the same time, they should tell some kind of story. It should be clear from the visual point of view what it is, even if the sound is off. So quite often we see the videos that if we turn the sound off, we cannot understand what the story is, what it means. Please account for that and make sure that your visuals are clear, that they're capturing, and that they are able to tell a story even with the sound off. And then talking about sound, at the same time, use your audio as, again, some kind of multiplier. What you need to be careful here about is that you need to be very subtle here because sometimes we observe video creatives where the audio is kind of a distraction. So there is too much audio, too many sounds, like sounds and music, and especially sometimes it's observed in the gaming ads. So make sure that your audio is kind of making your story clearer and better, but at the same time, it doesn't distract you from what you want to tell. And finally, please include a clear call to action for what your users need to do. Don't just show. If you want them to download it, just tell them so. If you want them to subscribe, tell them so. So be very specific about what you want from your users. Okay. So what are we going to explore in this new research? So we are going to explore the role of branding. So actually, what branding does in the creative and how we should put this branding piece into our app ads. The second one would be the role of people. So if it makes sense to add humans to your video creatives. And finally, we'll talk about motivation and motivations in install campaigns and in engagement campaigns. Okay, learning and insights. So the first one would be about branding, and it's actually quite important not only to put the branding in your app ads, in your video assets, but also how you do that. So actually, if you think of it, then an app video is actually doing quite a lot of work at the same time. And especially for hybrid clients, they need to differentiate their app ads from their other ads, whether they're advertising their websites or brick and mortar services. And they have to communicate that the ad is their brand and at the same time advertise the app. And this is quite a lot of functionality, quite a lot of work for the creative asset at the same time. So we have this danger here of overloading your video asset with branding. So actually, through this experimentation, we found a way how to do this in a subtle way. And the key is to integrate your brand into your app UI. So this can actually be very subtle and at the same time very efficient. Let's have a look at what I mean. So here is a fintech client, Expert Option, and what they did, they performed a research on how they should approach this branding problem, and they used 4 variations of the same asset for their experiment. So the first one was minimal or no branding, and this was the control group. Then the second one was the logo lookup screen. So when it shows at the end, this is what you see here as the left video preview. Then they used as the third one the persistent branding, so it was all throughout the ad. And finally, they had this in-app branding, and this is exactly what you see at this right video. So you can see that their logo is in the UI. And the interesting fact was that it turned out that this integrated logo into the UI had the best performance. And actually, it doesn't matter if you really have this actual logo in the UI. For example, Expert Option does not have it. It just makes, at the same time, your branding all throughout the ad. And at the same time, it is not overloading your video, so it is not distracting you. You're still looking at the app. And for Expert Option, it turned out to be driving the lowest cost per install, so the lowest CPI across all network. So just think of this as one of the life hacks. It's important to have branding in your app campaign video creatives, and it's a very good idea to add it directly into your app UI, even if in reality you do not have those. Okay, next. So the next one would be motivations. So actually, there is no surprise that different people are motivated by different things, and it's also true for apps. So whether you're looking to drive installs or to drive engagement, people are still motivated by different things. So it's actually a good idea to have a portfolio of different video assets that target different motivations. And we'll see later how this could work for different clients. But at the same time, I'll make a short footnote about what we see in gaming. the clients that I currently work with. So actually in gaming, this motivations thing, it's one of the top of mind right now. And people are trying to understand what is driving people to download the game and to play this game. And this could be like a ton of different motivations. This could be like escaping, this could be relaxation, this can be brain teasing, and so on. And this is actually what we observe to be working right now with our gaming clients as well, just like by this day-to-day work. So it's a good idea to have this portfolio of different video assets that would target different motivations. And actually, again, another note is if you look at different success cases, so even from external agencies that work with creatives and do some consultancy for you about creatives, you will see that actually, not even in most, but actually in all of the cases, when there is a substantial increase in your return on investment or any other good results, what was under the hood of this success case is that the agency with the client made a lot of different variations according to different motivations for installs or for engagement. So actually, variation and innovation in the creatives is something that should be top of mind right now. And don't strive to attack your audience with a one-size-fits-all creative. Just please account that different users might have different motivations. So let's have a look. So here is a well-known company, so it's Pampers, and they have an app in addition to their offline stores. And actually, this was the case when the client thought that the motivations that they considered to be driving the installs turned out to be different from what they actually were. So they considered that people used this app just to understand what rewards they might have and what offers they might have. And so they assumed that people would be motivated most of all by the information about rewards and information about offers. And here is what you can see here. This is on the right, an offer-focused video campaign, and here, bottom, rewards-focused video creative. But at the same time, they decided to test another video creative, which was focused on the parental control, parental content focus, and surprisingly, it turned out to be the most efficient one. So the parenting content focused ad not only achieved a staggering 50% increase in IPM, it is installs per 1,000 impressions, one of the core metrics that we use for understanding how the creatives work, compared for the control, but it has actually had the best install performance across all of the assets. So this is to mention how sometimes our assumptions may prove wrong, and we can see that even if we think that we know of our product quite a lot, it turns out that the audience was not motivated by these offers and rewards as we could think, but by this parenting content focused creative. And yeah, actually, a note here, this was all about the ACI campaigns. So these were for app campaigns for installs, those driving downloads. And the next research finding that we'll see, it's for apps campaign for engagement. So those that are people who are already using your app, but they are somehow just fell out of it for some quite of time, or they're not using it much, and you want actually to re-engage those people. So what findings we have found here? This is a Turkish retailer, Trendyol, and they wanted to understand their user motivations, but as I said, it is in this case not to drive downloads, but to drive app engagement with their current users. And in their creative experiment, they used various approach to entice users back to the app. It included ad focused on an offer, an ad that spoke directly to returning users, and a contextual ad that used a specific time of the year. So you can see this autumnal creative with lots of leaves. So they used this to encourage the user back. And they ran these creatives in the market against their control asset, which was just a typical trendy old creative. They didn't have any specialized language to talk to the returning users or to encourage them specifically. And the results turned out to be quite interesting because it turned out that different assets worked differently for different platforms and audiences. So, for example, this contextual ad with autumn leaves turned out to be best performing on display, and offer ad performed best on YouTube. So this once again proves that it makes a lot of sense to target different motivations and different approaches with your video creatives. We never tell our clients to try to find the best creative. We all the time say that the best strategy is a wide, a good, big portfolio. And yeah, so here we can see that it's not only about different motivations, it's also about where you find these users. And since app campaigns go and look at different inventories and they're served at different inventories, it totally makes sense to diversify these motivations, also to capture users on different platforms. Next, human presence. So human presence is another thing that we should pay attention to. What is quite important here is that we should be quite intentional to strike the right balance. So please avoid showing people just for the sake of showing people, and do not overload your video creatives with people. So it shouldn't be a very in-depth walkthrough. Rather, it should somehow show relatability, or it should just support the message. Again, as with sound from Wave 1 experiments, are subtle with that. And what we have found is that human presence increases our top performance parameters, but at the same time, it's very important that people should not be a distraction. So let me show what we mean here. Another retailer called Lazada, they set out to explore the role of people in their ads, and their control asset was a purely functional animation that didn't include any human elements in it. So they tested this control group against 3 assets that integrated humans in various ways. So first one would be humans as an added prop. So just as a support, you can see it here at the bottom. Then another one would be humans featured in a broader story, and humans in more promo-focused ad. And actually, the broader human story ad achieved 20% higher IPM and sales per 1,000 impressions compared to the control group. And also this suspense and build-up in the story towards the offer proved to retain the audience retention. And based on this engagement data, this is enough information for the audience to take the action. But at the same time, this creative at the bottom with people used just as a prop up, it didn't perform so well as the control group. And the assumption could be that this is actually because they ended up being more of a distraction rather than being kind of woven into the story. So they didn't support this message. They were just like people for the sake of people being there. Another one on humanity again. So this one is for the company probably most of you know. It's Deliveroo, food delivery service app, which is based in the UK. And their experiment was quite unique in that it was set up to explore one question, and it ended up answering completely a different one. So what they wanted to understand is whether the quality of the video, so like how much it costs, how professional it is, has any influence on the app campaigns. And this is actually a very interesting question because from my work with clients, and especially with those clients that used to have some advertising on television, quite often clients think that it's very difficult to make a wide portfolio of video creatives because they think of this very expensive, very costly TV-like commercials. But what we always tell our clients is that you should not think in these terms, in these dimensions. For app campaigns, you do not need this polished, high production TV commercial. Just a capturing story, and the video campaigns creatives that are set up according to our best practices would work perfectly well. So they wanted to understand this impact of polished high production commercial that you might see on the left versus two different first person but more of user-generated content styled assets. And this experiment proved, first of all, that quality doesn't matter, again, when it comes to video app campaigns. And the interesting thing, these user-generated content styled videos actually increased Deliveroo's basket value when they were used in relevant network. And this might prove the point of relatability, so how you can relate to this commercial, to this video. So you can actually see that although the video on the left, although it is like perfectly fine, it's high production, it's very neat, you do not have your personal relation to this. You just like see these different food dishes. While you can see this first-person user-generated style commercial, you can feel this relatability, how you would experience this, that you would order this, how you take it from your courier, how you open up your package, and so on. So this point of relatability works quite well, and it actually, again, speaks to the intentionality around the use of people and in your ad, and that people in your ad should be for some reason, not just to be there for the sake of being there, but rather to make the story relatable and kind of support the story. And finally, our fourth finding, it's about how the story-driven ads are working right now for gaming companies and how apps are evolving. So here we'll have two examples from two big gaming clients. And the interesting thing about gaming clients is that once upon a time, they have found a very working, very tried approach how to get lots of downloads. And those are gameplay ads. So what are gameplay ads? It's when you're showing your game, the interaction, what you actually do in this game in your screen, and that's it. And this drives very well the downloads. However, at the same time, we can see that some of the audience states might be expanding, might be changing, and more of the story-driven ads are also working quite well and sometimes outperforming these gameplay ads. Once again, it doesn't mean that if you're a gaming client, you should eliminate completely your gameplay ads. It's again about expanding your portfolio and making it more diverse, more possible to answer different needs and different tastes of various audience segments. So let's have a look. So Gram Games, it's again a client which is incorporated in Great Britain. one of those that we're working with. So what they wanted to understand is how for their core title, Merge Dragons, this addition of the story would work in terms of, again, IPM, so installs per thousand impressions. So you would be able to see here different videos. So one of them would be pure gameplay. This would be used as the control, so just the game itself. Then some variations of gameplay, so gameplay plus, as we called it. This is where you add a bit of different visuals or a bit of narrative to this gameplay. And finally, in this bottom right corner, you can see the pure narrative creative. So there is nothing about gameplay, but it is depicting the history of the Merge Dragons game, how it's played through in animated story. And what was very interesting and actually surprising was that this pure narrative ad achieved a 25% higher IPM compared to the control group. And this, again, shows that these narrative stories may drive installs, although the traditional approach would be to think that gameplay would be the most install driving. And exactly the same result we observed for another client, Gameloft. So the experiment was pretty much the same: pure gameplay plus, and pure narrative. And again, pure narrative turned out to be outperforming and having a much higher uplift on IPM than the pure gameplay. So the storytelling seems to be a good addition to what a gameplay can do. Do not eliminate gameplay video creatives from your ads, like at no cost. But at the same time, it's a good idea to think of how can you vary your assets, what you still can think of, and what some segments of the audience can be captured by. And let's finally move to the summary. So let's reiterate. First of all, branding is key, but it's also important how you actually brand your creative. Do not overload your creative with the branding. And the best way to do that would probably be to integrate your branding into your app UI, even if in reality you do not have so. Then please account for different motivations. Motivations vary, and so should your ads. Not only for installs campaigns, but also for re-engagement campaigns. And the bigger portfolio you would have with different videos touching upon the hearts of different audience segments, the better and the most efficient your app campaign would be. Also, the human presence is very important, and when it provides good context, when it supports the story, when it makes the story relatable, it's a very good idea to leverage human or human elements in some way to make your message come through. And finally, since the app ads are evolving, it's a very good idea to think of completely different approaches, as we did for gaming. For example, not only showing the direct functionality, but also the story that a person can understand and probably again feel related to. So this is it on my side. I'd be happy to answer some of your questions.
Actually, yeah, there are like a number of questions there already. Maybe I can read them. So the first question.
Go through this. Yeah, I see we have quite a lot.
So there was initially a question about complexity of the integration with Firebase for Qonversion. It's pretty easy. I answered it in the chat. It's several lines of code and SDK. You need to add the SDK and then several lines of code. And the rest of the questions are indeed about app campaigns, and the first one from Jessica. So, do you have any recommendations regarding the perfect asset set, and how many creatives to test, and how fast should we change it?
Yeah, actually, so again, there is no such thing as the perfect asset set. But at the same time, we think that it's a very good idea to have covered all of the different formats. So, for example, if it's a square, if it's a landscape, if it's a portrait, just cover all of those. At the same time, try to cover all of the possible lengths. So it's a very good idea to have both short videos and a bit longer. Probably it wouldn't make sense to have your video creatives of like 2 minutes, but basically having something like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds would be a very good idea. And in how many creatives to test, this is totally up to you. Normally, I would say that this is should be driven by some of the question of the business, by some of the question in the marketing teams. So it's not like, on the one hand, the creative testing should be kind of ongoing. It's a very good idea to have ongoing testing and ongoing renewal of your results. But at the same time, it shouldn't be just for the sake of doing this. So you should have some clear understanding why are you doing this, what hypothesis you want to prove or disprove, what is driving you to make this test. And actually about how often you should change it, it's a very good question, because what's important about creatives is that the creatives have the tendency to burn out, and which is why we need to replace them from time to time. We do not have, again, like this silver bullet approach, one size fits all. But what we normally refer to is that probably you should change your creatives once in 3-4 months. So if you have, it doesn't mean that you should have your new creatives every single week, but at the same time, if your creative is running for 8 months or like, God forbid, a year, then they are gradually being less and less efficient.
Okay, I think that answers the question pretty good. But Jessica has another question about audience segmentation and difference in audience between YouTube, display, and so on.
Yeah, so you do not segment your audience in the app campaign themselves. You do some of the segmentation not by the networks, but again by some of their features for app campaigns for engagement. But you cannot technically segment the audience for the different networks. If we're talking about their motivations, then again, we would not have any like possible recommendations here of what the motivations could be for YouTube and display and so on. So it's not like that we always know that YouTube audience wants to download the app and display audience wants to do something else. There is like just something not like that. But at the same time, like the only probable thing that I can recommend you if you want to capture more of YouTube audience or display audience, so I mean, like for example, AdMob here or Play, is that we observe that landscape videos are more often served in YouTube, while portrait videos, like since it's not portrait, yeah, portraits, sorry, portrait videos are more served on display, so like in your Play or AdMob, like because of the mobile phone. But yeah, like once again, you wouldn't have this audience motivational segmentation or technical segmentation for different networks.
So essentially, Google will figure it out, and basically some under the hood AI will decide where to show, how to segment it. It's not something you can actually set on a campaign level.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like that you do not have it because you do not have it. It's more because this is done by machine learning algorithm.
Yeah, clear. And then we have a couple of questions about like movie level budgets for production of creatives. I think you have actually answered that with one of the slides was.
Yeah, that's actually totally fine. Like lots of the clients do not have any movie level budgets, and quite many clients that are not even like large clients promote their apps quite well. So like the basic thing is that make your creative captured, make the story there, just make sure that a person relates to it. And for sure, you do not even have to have this like not even movie level, but even commercial level on TV budgets.
Okay, so the next question, I think the next question from Kara is again about segmentation, and Google will automatically optimize campaigns. Actually, it's about conversion events. So yes, I think of course Google takes into the account the conversion events, and you can basically choose which conversion events to use for the optimization. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I think I might have missed the last part of the question. So it is about whether you need to do this manual switching between creatives.
And also about conversion events that will be used for optimization of campaigns.
So it depends again on the type of the campaign. So of course, Google uses your conversion as your optimization metrics, but at the same time, for example, if you have an ACI campaign and you set it optimizing towards installs, then it will be optimizing not towards conversion event because you would not have one there. You will be optimizing toward downloads. At the same time, if you have a campaign which is optimizing by the bidding time, by the bidding type for the actions, then of course it would be exactly the action that you would insert there. So it actually very much depends just on your setup of the campaign. You can quite easily find this in this help center of Google. But yeah, bottom line, it is optimizing, but it depends on the type of the campaign that you set.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Another question is from Harshad Ahir. So he's saying, I have a free trial-based subscription in my app. Should I create a campaign to optimize for trial or successful subscription after the trials? I think I can answer this one, and my answer would be you should actually try both. It really depends, and of course, like from our data, conversion rate from trial to paying subscriber differs based on many factors, including country, for example. So conversion rate, for example, in the US from a free trial to paying customer can be like 70%. And in some emerging markets, it can be 10%. So it really depends on a lot of factors, and you should try running campaigns optimized for different goals and basically measure your return that you are getting, compare how much revenue ultimately you are getting from those campaigns to basically see what works best for your app. Okay, let's go to another question. Piero Lina is asking, as an app business, do you recommend only use app campaigns or other types of campaigns as well? Search, for example.
I'd say it actually very much depends on the type of your business. So if you're a hybrid, then of course search totally makes sense. If you're purely an app, then you might have some doubts here. I would probably not recommend the search network if you're purely app campaign. But at the same time, what we're exploring now is actually YouTube campaigns, like purely YouTube, not videos from apps on YouTube, because they can be quite a good addition for branding and for just getting people know about you. Because the thing with app campaigns is that they are very, very much performance oriented. And if you're not yet in that state when you have like very, very widespread knowledge about your company and you want people know about you more, or on the contrary, when you have your mature user base and you want a different segment of users start to know you, then probably YouTube campaigns could be a good addition to that. You shouldn't expect like lots of installs or conversions from those. Like, well, actually, first of all, you wouldn't be able to track those directly since it's cross-network. But at the same time, yeah, be sure that you shouldn't expect like lots of performance indicators there. But it works for a very different purpose. It works for branding and it performs it quite well. So you could consider those. And yeah, of course, if you're a hybrid business, then for sure, like all of the networks should be of good use to you.
Okay, let's go to the next question from Pavel. How many impressions or conversions should creative reach before we get that it didn't working?
You do not do this yourself. So actually, if you're launching an app campaign, you would have this asset reporting, performance asset reporting in your account, which is called something like good, bad, low, good, bad, something like this. And there will also be this tag, which is learning. And when it's written that it's learning, it means that it's not yet there. Like the system cannot say how it is performing. And after it has worked, so after it has reached this number of impressions and conversions for the system to understand, then you will get this rating for your creative. So you will be seeing like best, good, low, and so on. And the best practice here is just to retain your best and good creatives and to change your low performing creatives with some variations of the best, so something like this.
So essentially, Google will tell you what works and what
So
you have to change.
You should not count anything yourself. You just like look at the state of this creatives of the status.
So the next question from Vladislava, is it better to test new creatives by adding them into a well-performing ad group or by creating a new ad group?
Actually, we do not have like a very strict direct answer here. We've observed advertisers doing both. I would probably say that it would be easier if you create a separate ad group just for the sake of the reporting. You will just see the statistics in an easier way. But at the same time, the drawback here would be that your new ad group might have some time to learn and to get some traffic from in this campaign. While if you would add it directly into the already well-performing group, then that group will have some learning base already. So it actually has like both pluses and minuses. So it's basically up to you in terms of how clear the test would be. It's like relatively the same.
Mm-hmm. And the next question from Marta, I think it's kind of asking the same thing. What is the best practice for combining creatives of two ad groups that are similar in motivations? Keep the best one and adding the other one's creatives there.
I'm not sure actually that I get the question. Marta, if you can just elaborate a little bit on that in the chat, I'd be grateful. Creatives to
Okay, let's for now maybe we can try to answer the last one in the chat from Vladislava. What is the best way to test video creative if campaign spends almost all of its budget on text ads and search placements? So basically, how to test videos without messing up performance of text ads.
best way to Well, actually, again, you just add your video creatives there. So there is no way that you just block your text ads or your search ads. Gradually, the campaign, like in the group, will take over if this video creative is performing quite well. So this is actually what we observe quite often with our advertisers. At the same time, you can just set up a new campaign and see how it will be working there. But yeah, like the bottom line here is that you cannot block out your search placement. And once you add your video campaign, your video creatives, just give it some time to learn to understand that there is another network, and it will gradually pick up.
Okay, I think we have one last question in the Q&A chat here. So the question is, what is the ideal length of a video ad? Is there any
Yeah,
recommendation
once
on the
again, like
length?
we do not have any ideal lengths, and this is actually like very important to understand about the creatives. You should not strive for any ideal length, ideal format, ideal message, ideal anything. There would not be anything of one size fits all. And of course, if we're talking about some technical parameters like lengths and like formats and so on, because first of all you have different people, then second of all you have different inventory, and these different formats would fit differently into different auctions on different inventory and so on. So the best thing is that you just create videos of different lengths, of different formats with different messaging and different approaches. And the most successful advertisers now are not those who just kind of understood how to make this perfect asset and they have found something very much working, but rather those who have big portfolio of their creative assets and quite a lot of ideas to tweak them, to variate on them, and to regularly monitor whether some of the creatives are not performing well and replacing them. So just like having a large base of your videos and constantly monitoring it and constantly updating it is the best strategy.
Yeah, so I guess unfortunately there is no one single hack to get to great performance, and you have actually to experiment a lot. Like with most things in marketing, you have to have a lot of creative assets, and you have to do a lot of experiments and basically see what works best for your specific case, for your specific app, and for for your audience, I guess.
Yep.
Okay, I think we have answered all of the questions.
We still have Marta, but yeah, I don't see any updates from her.
Okay. I guess Marta can follow up with us after the webinar.
Yeah.
She can write to Qonversion team or to you on LinkedIn, and we'll try to answer. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us today, and of course, thank you, Sabina, for sharing this super interesting materials. I hope everyone will use this information to improve the performance or start acquiring users from with Google. And I hope someone will also leverage the integration of Qonversion with Firebase to get more accurate data on subscription events. That's it from our side today. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.